Most people enter a new year with hope, but not with action. They talk about change. They dream about change. They even visualize the life they want to live. But when it comes to moving their body and their mind into the reality of that vision, they freeze. They wait. They tell themselves that the right time will arrive, that things will become easier, that someday the circumstances will align perfectly. But 2025 is not a year for waiting. It is not another number on a calendar that should be wasted the way so many years before have been wasted. It is a wake-up call, a reminder that life is not pausing for anyone. The clock is moving, and every second that passes is not just a number, it is your opportunity slipping into the hands of someone who is already ready to take it. And this is why this year demands more from you. It demands presence. It demands clarity, and most of all, demands action. Think about how many times you have said to yourself that tomorrow you will begin. Tomorrow you will commit. Tomorrow you will take that first step toward your goals. But if you are honest with yourself, how many of those tomorrows actually arrived? They vanished like smoke in the air, leaving behind the same old routines, the same old frustrations, and the same old feeling of being stuck. You don't need another tomorrow to prove that waiting is a trap. You need this very moment, this breath, this heartbeat, to remind you that the only time you have power is now. 2025 is nothing magical. It is simply a continuation of life, and life does not reward those who sit still and hope. It rewards those who move, those who push, those who dare to turn intentions into action. Ask yourself, how many opportunities have already passed you by because you hesitated? How many doors closed because you were too afraid to knock? How many times have you looked back at a chance you didn't take and realized that the pain of regret is far heavier than the pain of discipline? The wake-up call of 2025 is simple. You don't need more time. You don't need more luck. You don't even need more motivation. You need to decide that enough is enough. You need to look at yourself and declare that this is the year where things will not be delayed anymore. The year where fear no longer controls your steps. The year where excuses no longer define your story. This year is not asking you to wait for the perfect condition because the perfect condition doesn't exist. It is asking you to rise as you are, to start with what you have, to build with what is in your reach. If you are tired, carry that tiredness with you and move. If you are afraid, carry that fear with you and move. If you feel unprepared, carry that uncertainty with you and move. Because the moment you decide to act in spite of everything, you awaken a force inside you that is far greater than any limitation you thought was holding you back. And that force is the difference between a life that drifts and a life that is built with purpose. The most dangerous lie you will ever tell yourself is that you have time. It is the illusion that tomorrow is guaranteed, that the days will unfold exactly as you plan, that the future is a storage room where you can place your dreams and return later to collect them. But the truth is, tomorrow is not real. It is a promise no one can make to you. It is a concept that lives only in your imagination. And yet this illusion is what keeps people stuck, repeating the same cycles, postponing the changes they know they need, convincing themselves that delay is harmless. It is not harmless, it is deadly. Every day you push your goals into the future is another day where you strengthen the chains of procrastination and weaken the fire of your potential. Think about the times you have whispered to yourself that one day you will start, one day you will commit, one day you will finally give everything you have. That one day becomes a week, that week becomes a month, and before you notice, years have dissolved into nothing but stories of what could have been. The illusion of tomorrow is the thief of your life because it steals not only your time, but not your belief in yourself. Each time you delay, you unconsciously teach yourself that your word is not strong, that your desire is not urgent, that your goals are optional. And if your goals are treated as optional, they will always remain unreachable, because life does not hand over success to the one who waits, it hands it to the one who acts. Look at the calendar and understand something clear. Every tomorrow eventually turns into today, and if you do not act when it becomes today, you will only shift the responsibility further away, stacking delay on top of delay until your spirit grows numb. This is why people wake up years later and feel empty, not because they lacked dreams, but because they placed those dreams in a box labeled later and never opened it again. The illusion of tomorrow is the most beautiful lie because it feels comforting. It tells you that you are not rejecting your goals, only postponing them. But postponement is rejection disguised as patience, and once you see it clearly, you cannot unsee it. This year, 2025, you cannot afford to live under that illusion anymore. You cannot afford to waste another month thinking that the right moment will arrive, because the right moment is not something you find, it is something you create. The right moment is when you take a breath, stand up, and say, now. Nothing more, nothing less. Waiting will not make you stronger. Waiting will not make you wiser. Waiting will not bring clarity. Only action will. And action must always begin in the present, because the present is all you ever truly have. Once you break the illusion of tomorrow, you free yourself from the prison of delay and enter the reality where growth, progress, and transformation are possible. When people imagine success, they often picture a dramatic breakthrough, a sudden rise, a moment of glory that changes everything. They believe one decision, one opportunity, or one lucky break is what separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. But the truth is far less glamorous and far more powerful. Success is not built in a moment, it is built in the accumulation of countless small steps taken consistently. Steps so small that at first they seem invisible. Steps so repetitive that they appear insignificant. Yet it is those very steps that shape your destiny, because what you do every single day will always outweigh what you do occasionally. Imagine planting a seed. You do not expect it to become a tree overnight. You water it, you give it light. You nurture it day after day. In the beginning, you see nothing. Weeks pass, and the soil looks unchanged. But beneath the surface, roots are growing, a foundation is being built, and eventually, a small sprout breaks through. That sprout only appears because of the consistency of care, not because of one dramatic act. Your goals are the same. Habits you repeat daily, even when no one is watching, even when there are no immediate results, are the seeds of your future. Ignore them, and nothing grows. Honor them, and over time, they transform into strength, skills, and opportunities that cannot be ignored. The problem is that people underestimate the power of small actions. They think reading a few pages of a book doesn't matter. Exercising for 20 minutes won't make a difference. Saving a little money won't change their situation. Waking up an hour earlier is pointless. They think change has to be massive to be meaningful. But what they don't see is that small actions, when repeated, compound. A single drop of water looks insignificant, but drops repeated over years carve valleys in stone. A single brick looks small, but brick after brick builds the tallest walls. Small steps repeated with discipline turn into unstoppable momentum. In 2025, the greatest mistake you can make is to chase intensity over consistency. Anyone can give effort for a day, a week, or a short burst of time. But very few have the patience and discipline to show up again and again, no matter how small the step may seem. Consistency is the real superpower. It teaches your mind that you can be trusted. It builds resilience, because each step is a silent victory against laziness, against doubt, against excuses. The moment you commit to small daily action, you stop negotiating with yourself and start training yourself to follow through. So do not wait for a massive breakthrough. Do not wait for life to give you a grand stage. Begin now with what you can control, with the smallest steps you can take, and repeat them until they become a part of you. Because when you look back at the end of this year, you will not remember the single moments of motivation that came and went. You will remember that you built yourself day by day, step by step, until your small actions created a life that once felt impossible. Motivation is like a spark. It feels powerful when it ignites. It lights you up. It makes you feel unstoppable for a moment. But sparks fade. They die quickly if there is no fuel to sustain them. That is why so many people begin with excitement but never finish what they start. They depend on motivation. They wait to feel ready. They wait to feel inspired. And when the feeling disappears, so does their effort. Discipline, on the other hand, is not a spark. Discipline is the steady fire that burns regardless of how you feel. It is the commitment to act whether you are motivated or not, whether you are tired or energized, whether life feels easy or impossible. And this is the difference between those who talk about change and those who actually live it. Think of the days when you wake up and everything in you wants to stay in bed. You tell yourself you deserve rest. You tell yourself you will do it later. You tell yourself that today doesn't matter. That is the voice of comfort, and comfort is the greatest enemy of growth. Discipline is what silences that voice. It is the act of getting up anyway, of pushing forward when it is easier to retreat, of keeping your word to yourself even when no one else is watching. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you strengthen your character. You harden your will. You remind yourself that your goals are not negotiable. The truth is, you cannot rely on motivation to carry you through an entire year. Some days, you will have none. Some days, you will feel heavy, uninspired, unprepared. If you wait for motivation to arrive, you may wait forever. But discipline does not ask for your feelings. Discipline asks for your decision. And every decision to act despite your feelings is a small victory, a victory that compounds into strength, into resilience, into a life where you no longer wait for inspiration, you create it. Look around at the people who achieve greatness. They are not always the most talented. They are not always the most gifted, but they are always the most disciplined. They are the ones who continue when others stop, who persist when others give up, who build day after day even when they don't feel like it. That is why 2025 cannot be about chasing motivation. It must be about cultivating discipline, because discipline will carry you through the days when your energy is low, when your mind is clouded, when your heart is heavy. Motivation may start the journey, but only discipline can finish it. And the beauty of discipline is that it does not just shape your habits, it shapes your identity. Each act of discipline tells you something about who you are. It tells you that you are someone who follows through, someone who keeps promises, someone who can be trusted. Once you see yourself this way, everything changes, because your actions are no longer about feelings, they are about who you choose to be. Struggle is not a punishment, it is a teacher. Every difficulty you face, every obstacle that blocks your path, every pain that weighs on your chest carries within it the chance to grow stronger. But most people see struggle as a reason to stop, as a sign that they are not ready, as evidence that the path is too hard for them. They treat struggle like an enemy, when in reality, it is the most loyal companion they will ever meet on the journey of growth. If everything was easy, if every step was comfortable, you would never be forced to rise above who you are right now. It is struggle that pulls out of you the qualities you never knew you had, the patience, the courage, the endurance, the creativity. Without struggle, these parts of you would remain asleep, hidden beneath the comfort of an easy life. Think back to the hardest moments you have survived. At the time, they felt unbearable. You questioned yourself. You doubted whether you could make it through. And yet here you are, still breathing, still standing. Those struggles did not break you, they built you. They carved into you a deeper strength. They gave you wisdom that no book or lecture could ever teach. They shaped your perspective in ways comfort never could. This is why struggle is not something to run from in 2025. It is something to embrace. Because each time life places weight on your shoulders, it is giving you a chance to grow stronger muscles. Each time it tests your patience, it is sharpening your spirit. Each time it challenges you, it is showing you how limitless you can be if you refuse to give up. The mistake is to believe that struggle is unique to you, that others have it easier, that your challenges are unfair. But struggle is universal. Every person you admire, every success story you hear, every great achievement that inspires you is built upon mountains of struggle. The difference is not that they had fewer obstacles. The difference is that they turned those obstacles into fuel. Where others saw reasons to quit, they saw reasons to push harder. Where others saw endings, they saw beginnings. Where others saw barriers, they saw opportunities to rise above. This year, when struggle meets you, do not ask, "Why me?" Ask, "What is this here to teach me? How can I use this to rise higher?" Because the very thing you think is blocking you might actually be preparing you. The very pain you feel might be shaping the strength you will need for the next stage of your journey. Struggle is not here to stop you. It is here to refine you. It is here to strip away the weakness that holds you back and ignite the fire that pushes you forward. And once you realize that struggle is not an enemy but a gift, you will never fear it. You will use it. To become unstoppable. Action is the bridge between who you are and who you want to become. Dreams, plans, visions, even the strongest intentions mean nothing if they are not followed by action. And yet, so many people spend their lives thinking, preparing, waiting, but never stepping forward. They convince themselves that the timing isn't right, that they need more clarity, that they need to be more confident before they begin. But what they don't see is that clarity comes from action. Confidence is built through action, and timing will never be perfect unless you create it through action. The longer you wait, the heavier the weight of hesitation becomes until it feels impossible to move. That is why now is the only time that matters. Now is where change begins, and now is the only place where you truly have power. Think of a person standing at the edge of a river, waiting for the current to slow before they step in. They wait for the water to calm, for the path to become safe, but the current never stops. It moves endlessly, and if they keep waiting, they will still be standing there years later, wishing they had just taken the first step. Life works the same way. The current will never stop for you. The chaos, the uncertainty, the difficulties will always exist. If you wait for them to disappear, you will wait forever. The only choice is to step in now, to move while the river it's strong, to adapt as you go. 2025 is not here for hesitation. It is here for execution. It is the year where all the energy you have spent thinking must be redirected into doing. Every great transformation begins not with a perfect plan, but with a decision, a single moment where you choose to stop delaying and start moving. That first step may feel small, it may feel uncertain, it may feel terrifying, but it is the step that changes everything. Because once you move, momentum begins. And once momentum begins, nothing can stop you. Do not underestimate the cost of waiting. Every day you delay is a day you cannot get back, a day where your potential stays locked inside you. And if you keep delaying, you will reach a point where regret is heavier than any fear you ever had. But if you choose to act now, you will look back and see not a life of hesitation, but a life of courage. The pain of discipline will always be lighter than the pain of regret. And the only way to carry discipline is through action, right here, right now. So stop telling yourself that tomorrow will be easier. Stop believing that the future will magically align in your favor. Nothing changes until you change, and nothing begins until you begin. Act now, not later. Take the first step, however small, and let it open the door to the life you are meant to live. When you step back and look at everything, the message is clear. 2025 is not waiting for you. It is not here to gift you opportunities. It is not here to carry you toward your goals. It is not here to reward your intentions. It is here as a stage, and you must decide whether you will step onto it or remain in the shadows. The illusion of tomorrow has fooled enough people already, and if you allow it to keep you still, another year will pass and nothing will change. But if you choose to rise, if you choose to take small steps daily, if you choose discipline over comfort and use every struggle as your fuel, you will not just survive this year, you will transform through it. This is the moment where you decide. Not after this speech, not tomorrow morning, not next week. Right now, right here. Because your life is not something to be postponed, it is something to be lived fully. With urgency, with courage, with relentless action. Every great change, every great breakthrough, every great victory begins in a moment just like this. When you stop waiting and start moving, so let this be the year you look back on with pride. The year you stopped negotiating with your fears. The year you stopped giving power to your excuses. The year you finally stood up and claimed the life that belongs to you. Get up and get it done in 2025 because no one else will do it for you. And because this year, this moment, this breath is your chance to prove to yourself that you are ready.